You ever scroll past an image online, a meme or some graphic, and you just get this feeling it was designed to make you angry or maybe inspired, but you can't quite put your finger on how it's doing it? Well, today, we're going to pull one of those messages apart. The goal here isn't to agree or disagree with it. We're just going to neutrally break it down to understand how it's trying to communicate its message.
All right, so here it is. This is the image we're going to be looking at. You can see it's got that whole dark background, really dramatic lighting, and some super bold red text. I mean, it is clearly designed to grab your attention and make a big, loud statement. So for this explainer, our job is basically to be detectives. We're going to analyze its structure, its claims, and the little tricks it uses to be persuasive, one layer at a time.
And really, that brings us to the main question, right? What is the story here? What kind of narrative is this one single image trying to build? That's what we're going to figure out together. So, let's start at the very top.
Okay, so right away, the image frames this whole thing as a fight over what's important, over priorities. And it sets a pretty confrontational tone from the very first line.
All the power here is packed into just 3 little words, and the most important one is they. But who is they? Is it the government, big corporations, the super rich? The image never says. And you know what? That's on purpose. That ambiguity lets anyone who sees this project their own personal villain onto that word, which makes the whole thing feel way more universal and personal. And here's the next step in how it builds its argument. This phrase, for everything but, it's the pivot. It takes that idea of they having all this money and immediately spins it into a story about neglect and messed up priorities. It's the classic setup for a list of complaints, which, you guessed it, is exactly what comes next. So next up, the image lays out the absolute core of its argument, all the specific things it claims are being totally ignored. So here's the foundation of the complaint. You've got affordable housing, food for your kids, healthcare, a living wage. I mean, these are all major hot-button issues, right? By listing them out like this, the message really grounds itself in these real-world anxieties that a ton of people can relate to. It makes an abstract complaint feel incredibly real and urgent.
But if you look really closely at that list, there's one item that just kind of stands out. It doesn't really seem to fit the pattern of the others. It's a bit of a puzzle, honestly.
And there it is. Banning books. See, the other items on the list are all things that need funding, right? Financial support for social programs. So the big question is, how does a line about banning something fit into a list of things that need money?
And this is where the message gets a little complicated. On one hand, you could ask, is it trying to say that fighting against book bans is an unfunded need? Or does it actually create a contradiction? I mean, later on, the image has the hashtag #ReadBooks, which suggests it's against book bans. But putting it under the heading, they got money for everything but, could imply there isn't money for banning books, which would be a good thing. It's confusing, and that might be the whole point, to merge a cultural complaint in with the economic ones.
After that list, the message just dramatically zooms out. It pivots away from specific policies and makes a much, much bigger statement. This line right here just elevates the whole argument. Suddenly, it's not just about where money is or isn't going anymore. The claim is now about the culture itself. And just like the word they, the phrase the culture is left totally undefined. It becomes this catch-all term for pretty much any problems someone might have with society, which lets the message connect with a whole bunch of different frustrations.
And finally, the image doesn't just leave you with a list of problems. It wraps up by pointing to the future with a specific date and a call to action.
The year 2026 is slapped right there, front and center. But why that specific year? Is it a big election, some kind of anniversary? The image doesn't say. But by planting that specific date, the creator builds this sense of anticipation, of purpose. It basically frames the whole message as a countdown to something important.
And this is what that countdown is supposedly for, the #ReadBooks moment. If we look just at what the image gives us, this phrase seems to be the proposed solution. It's tying the simple act of reading directly to making those changes to help the culture. It's presented as the end goal, the big finale for all the complaints that were listed before. So, after taking this whole image apart, from its vague language to its mix of economic and cultural issues, we're left with this final, kind of provocative thought. In this age of digital activism we live in, what does it actually take for a hashtag, just a simple phrase online, to spark a genuine, real-world moment? That's a question worth thinking about the next time a viral message like this lands on your screen.